Welcome back once again to Omega TV UK. Sky 181. Follow us very, very soon when Sky 181. Very soon. Omega TV UK. And my name is Lydia Tet Olet. Stand out, speak up. So stand out, speak up. Do not fit in. That is our line of duty, our line of everyday living. Stand out, speak up. So today in the studio, I have a very, very good friend of mine and also a psychologist, right? And I wanted to introduce herself, so I'm not going to take any star or forget to say something, because this woman, she does a lot with children. Today we're going to talk about parenting, and this is a passion. I see her everywhere, holding children, parents. And you know, I always say that the beginning of our existence is children, because if we get it wrong, that's it, we've gotten everything wrong. Forget a lawyer, doctor, magistrate, because for that person to be a lawyer or doctor, they have to be children first. So if they're not trained well, what will they become? So for me, what this lady in the studio does as parenting, I mean, she touches the center of existence. And that's why today I'm so happy to have you in my studio, darling.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much.
So if you can introduce yourself,
so
please.
Excited to have this conversation with you. I know we talk even behind the curtains, we talk about these things. Yeah, and so grateful. Guys, my name is Angela Karanja and I am a psychologist. And I, like Lydia said, I am so passionate about parenting, the welfare of parents, and also even more the welfare of our children. Because like you said, if we bring up broken kids, where are we going to have like these lovely lawyers, these lovely doctors, these lovely politicians, all these things that our children can become? So it's very, very important that we address that. And I think there is a quote that says it's better to have a whole child than to repair a broken adult.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow,
So I can't remember. I think it's Norse that said that. But it makes so much sense for us to do that, you know, like to tend to the young mind, to tend to their expression, to tend to their thoughts, to tend to who they are, so that tomorrow we can expect a better future, right? A better person, better than we are.
Yes.
Because if we don't do anything, I think just before we started this, we were talking about the curses, the trauma, the generation traumas and that. If we don't do anything, if we are not intentional, if we are not conscious, they'll carry on just like that. They'll carry our own ignorance and carry it to the next generation and the next generation. And here is what people say. You know, when people say, oh, children of these days, you know, they've gone worse.
Yeah.
Both spiritually and also psychologically, that is what we call complex trauma. Because what you don't solve, what you don't sort, it accumulates and even becomes, it's like a snowball. You know, when a snowball starts as a small one, but as it rolls down, it goes collecting. By the time it's getting down there, it's so big. And then we have our children with all sorts of issues, and we are wondering, what's happening? Is because we did not bother to sort ourselves out from the beginning, or even before the beginning.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
And that, what you've just said about the snowball, also, I always see it as a seed. I always say, if you plant a seed, and then with our behavior, you're actually watering that seed. And then probably you get somewhere and you stop watering the seed, and your generation, or maybe you're gone now, somebody will have to harvest it, because that seed will germinate. It germinates, somebody will have to harvest it. So who is going to harvest this seed that you planted? So we have to be very, very careful with what we're doing and what we are teaching our children, what they're seeing us doing. Because before, they used to say, do as I say, not as I do. But right now, is do as I do.
Exactly.
They look at you and you're their idol, you're their replicant, you're their mirror, you're everything about them. You know, it's so funny because my daughter was telling me the other day that, Mom, you know, when I was younger, and I was like, wow, that's really deep. That when she was younger, she used to look at me. That's why when she made the mistake, she was so scared, because she was like, my mom will never do this. She used to see me as a mini God.
Yes.
And she was like, my mom will never make mistake. My mom will never do anything wrong, until she now grew older. So when she grew older, I started telling her, your mom is just a human being. So she started changing her perspective of who mom is. But when they're younger, they see you as a God, a mini God. So everything you do, they do. Everything you say. So it's not do as I say. Right now it's do as I do. So we have to be very careful when we're doing this. But anyway, thank you. So I just want to start asking you, because we're here talking about parenting. So where do you think the parenting starts? Because I know some people think, oh, when I give birth, that's where parenting starts. And so where does it really start?
I think this is my belief, and also we have seen it, even the period we call before the birth, before even you decide to get a child. It starts there, right? What are you hearing in the community? What are you doing with yourself? What are your beliefs about having a child? What are your beliefs about this next generation that you're bringing in? I mean, we know that not all of us, when we get children, are ready. Yeah. So, and that's not to say that, oh, if you got an oops baby, now that is bad. That's
because children are blessed.
Children are a blessing, and don't feel like we are condemning anyone if you didn't have this plan. But there's something called what has been your thinking about having children, right? Who do you see those children to be? Because here is there's actually a poem by Khalil Gibran, and he says, our children are not our children. They are the children of life wanting to express itself. They come through us, but they do not belong to us. We can speak to them, we can speak with them, but we cannot make them be what they are not. Yeah. So if we understand, I am a conduit, like whether you're a birth parent, some adoptive parent, foster parent, or even auntie or grandmother that look after children, I think being very intentional is very important. And when I say you're a conduit, what I mean is our job is to hold space for them. You've just said that our job is to water. It's like a flower. A flower it's a flower. Let's say it's a rose. It's a rose, right? You can't change it from being a rose. However, you can make it the best rose ever by watering it, providing fertilizer, providing all these things. Because the genetic makeup of your child or my child, that is what life or God, that is the seed you are given. What do you do with it? Do you plant it in hard soil, right? Because if you plant it in hard soil, if you're so hard on your kids and all that, then you don't get results. And then you start blaming the seed.
Yes.
The nucleus of the seed, there's nothing wrong with it. Your child is that way. For example, like strong-willed kids. You have strong-willed kids, or some kids who are just mellow, right? And maybe sometimes as parents, we try to make them into something different. But I believe our job is to provide space so they can thrive.
Yes.
Yeah. You provide that environment where they feel loved, where they feel seen, where they feel valued, where they feel accepted. But that mentality, Lydia, doesn't start immediately you give birth.
Yeah.
It starts before. What do you think, how do you think that kids are there to be seen and not to be, not to be heard or to be seen? They're just there. Unfortunately, a lot of us were born in those generations where
we're seen and not
oh yeah, you don't even pass by here, you don't come in front of
adults.
Yes. And we were very, you would say, almost neglected, we were almost. So unfortunately, we come with that baggage, because remember what I said about we are products of life wanting to express itself. So when someone constricts you, as like we were, you feel I'm not living my best life. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's why I said it starts even before you get children, because it's important that we heal from those, we drop that kind of thinking and say, wait a minute, when I get my child, I want my child to know that they are valued. I want my child to know that they are seen. I want my child to know that they are seen, they are heard, and they are the product of life, and I want to support them.
And they're appreciated.
And appreciated. But if we didn't develop that skill, how can we pass it on to them?
Exactly.
So
because you only pass what you have.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You only give what you have.
Yeah.
That's why it starts with us healing from such wounds. And that's why you hear people talking about mother wounds and father wounds, right? And trauma. Because if we don't, the tendency is, and I'm the first one to say, as much as I have recalibrated and healed, sometimes I look at myself and I'm like, did I just say that? I said what I did never like my mom saying.
Yes.
You know, and so many women have told me they've caught themselves thinking, Guy,
how could I?
How could I have said that? How could I have behaved like that? And it's because we haven't processed it, and then unfortunately we pass it on to our kids. We pass it on to we just keep passing it on to our kids. Yeah.
Thanks for that, because yes, parenting starts even before you get pregnant. But here comes as well, some people get pregnant for wrong reasons. Sometimes I'm gonna get pregnant because I want to keep this guy, and then there's also this guy who's pressuring me to get pregnant because they want to break my legs. Like they always say, you wanna break her legs, make her pregnant. And then there's also the pressure of the society and the community. Oh, you must get pregnant. You must get pregnant. Oh, you're bad. You're barren. So many things. And then there's also the one that, oh, I want to give birth, and people see that even me, I can give birth. Or because your friend had a baby and you're thinking, oh my God, my time is ticking, so me too, I must have a baby. So I think there's a lot of people who are also getting pregnant for wrong reasons. And because of that, because you didn't really want this child, you just got pregnant for these reasons, now you start projecting negativity. And as you project negativities, I know scientifically your child in your belly can sense everything that is happening. If you're unhappy, if you're sad, and then because you did not get pregnant for right reasons, you start saying all these bad things. No, my life has changed because of you. I wish I'd aborted this baby. There's a lot of, I wish I took it out. Now it's too late, I can't take it out. Some of them even try to abort the baby, and the baby doesn't come out. So the baby's still there. And there's so much negativity being said to this child even before the child comes out. So the child comes out, and then the child starts behaving weird, especially probably at 2 years, 3 years. What do they know? And you're thinking, why are you behaving like this? So instead of you reflecting back, like what you said, that is your negativity, is all your words, your projection of all these negative things that have actually affected this baby. Right now, the baby feels rejected. The baby feels abandoned. All these things that is going through the baby's emotions. And instead of you dealing with that, now you're taking your anger out of this child.
Gosh, do you know what? I think, Lydia, you've taken all of the words out of my mouth. And, you know, there's so much of who we are that is transferred into the kid. Yeah. And when you see all these, you know, a lot of behavior problems, a lot of illnesses, right? We're going to call it as it is.
Yes.
They even, for example, something as simple as how we know that this is true is, for example, the alcohol syndrome. You know, mothers who are alcoholic, the children come out, and they have to be put on intervention because they're having syndromes. You know, like
I saw that. I didn't even think it's a thing.
It is
until
a thing.
There's a lady who was doing an interview. And she said the child has died. I had to Google it. I was like, this is a thing.
It is a thing, and that is the only thing because we can measure. Now think in terms of, like you said, rejection, because when you're carrying a baby, they can feel you.
There's life.
It's life, and it's connected to you. So your emotions, your thoughts, and your feelings, they are literally. It's like, for example, if you think about a flower, a happy flower, you feel happy, right? That is what's happening. Literally, that neurologically, that's what's happening to the baby. So you're one with that child. So whatever you're going through, if you're thinking regret, imagine how that child is feeling. Rejected. They're feeling, rejected. They may not have the words to say it.
Yes, like the emotions.
They feel rejected. So sometimes kids are born, and you wonder, why are they so withdrawn? Or some of them are born, they're so scared, they're so afraid. They don't want to embrace life because you have been rejecting them. Exactly.
Wow.
And then they get to 2 years. You know, when people begin to talk about toddler tantrums and all that, because they're beginning to say, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be different and I'm being made to be something else. Yeah, and they start resisting, and of course we put them down, or we put them in the naughty corners or whatever, and they learn to conform. Yeah, they learn to conform, and they can learn to conform for a while, and then as they grow older, as they get to teenage years, they're like, hey,
now we are here.
Not today, Satan. You know, exactly. That's what they think.
Yes.
And there's a lot, and then you start to see kids having, for example, one of the things we've been having a very big rise is what we call adults to parent violence. And a lot of people don't want to talk about it because it's embarrassing.
Yes.
I mean,
that your child is hitting
exactly.
you. How embarrassing is
and
that?
not just hitting you, it starts from, you know, sometimes they'll abuse you and you're like, what? You mean someone can speak to me like that?
Yep.
And then sometimes it goes to they're stealing from you.
Yes.
They are hitting you, right? And sometimes because you're so embarrassed, you don't do anything about it. Yeah? Unless, in fact, how we come to hear about it is when something so bad has happened.
Now it's out.
Now the police are involved, and then you get to hear about it. But sometimes the kids will tell you in these classrooms how they speak to their parents. You're like, wait a minute. And by the way, you guys, I'm not saying this. I have my own teenager, and there's sometimes I have had to step back and I'm like, excuse me? No, I don't accept that. You do not speak to me like that. I don't care whether it's a joke or it's the street lingo. No, you don't speak to me like that. Who told you that you can speak to me? Who told you that you can be unkind? Who told you that you can be unloving? But then on the other hand, Lydia, sometimes she has come back and said to me, oh, Mom, all that shouting yourself, I'm not accepting it. Because I'm human, and sometimes we don't always get it right.
Exactly.
And sometimes you get frustrated.
There's no manual for this.
You've told someone to do something for an hour and they're not doing it, and you end up shouting, and I'll say, then you say, excuse me, you're the one that says I shouldn't shout at you. You should not shout at me as well. And it's a challenge because I'm thinking, you know, I'm thinking, I've been telling you
I'm the parent here.
Exactly. And also I'm thinking I'm the parent. However,
that's the wrong thing.
We can't use I'm the parent here for something that's wrong. Yeah. If it's wrong, we have to own up and say, and how many times have I said, I'm sorry, that is unacceptable for how I spoke to you, for how I treated you. It's unacceptable of me. And then I move away from there and say, but surely, Dee, when I ask you to take all that rubbish from your room, just do it. Otherwise, we'll start having pests in the house. Yeah? And when I say that to her, she will clean up sometimes. Yeah? But it's I think we must be prepared to behave like leaders.
That's a good one.
We must be prepared to behave like leaders. And leaders are influencers. And when I say an influencer, I mean, can this kid trust me enough to actually want to follow me? Do they trust me? Do they think I'm credible? Can I reason with them? Because a leader, a good leader, is authentic. Yeah, we have humility. As a good leader has humility, right? And a good leader is truthful. I'm happy to tell my daughter that yes, I'm angry. I've come to a point. I'm completely angry because I've been asking you to clean this place for 5 weeks or however long it has been. For those of you who have especially older kids, and there's nothing you can't make them do anything. Yeah, and then we don't want to resort to punitive. You remember you talked about being a model.
Yes.
You don't want to resort to punitive, like especially in this country. And I believe everywhere now, you can't be beating children or you can't be abusing them. Some people still do.
Yeah.
And
that is totally wrong.
Yeah,
because that doesn't solve anything.
It doesn't, and then they learn, if you have power, this is how you treat people.
Yes.
Right?
And they will take it and treat the children outside like that.
Exactly.
Now they feel like they have power.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if you watched that movie called Horton. Horton hears a who. Horton was this, they had something and then they decided to investigate. And then wherever they went, it was a flower. And what they discovered in that flower, it was a whole village of very little things, very small things, right, that lived there. And what the reason I bring this is to say, you can't, just because someone is small, you can't treat them badly, because what does that make them learn? That as long as you're big and bad, you can treat the one that's smaller and you can be a bully as long as you're big and bad.
Yes.
And that's not what we want to teach our kids. Because what about when you get to an age, I know you've got adolescent kids, what about when you go to a stage where you can't hold them and make them do something? How will you influence them? How will and I think it's always thinking in terms of, how can I behave and make requests in a way that my child will want to do it? It's asking ourselves that, not quick fixes. I'll make you sit there so that you can do this, or you're not going anywhere until you do this. Those punitive solutions. But thinking in terms of, how can I influence you so that you actually want to do what I'm asking you? Like my daughter, she doesn't like pests and this little, so I said to her, if you carry on leaving these bags of, she sneaks, you're not allowed to take food upstairs, but she sneaks it. And sometimes I look in the room and see it, and I'm like, okay, you're not supposed to bring it, yeah? Okay, you've already brought it. If you leave them there, the pests, there'll be all sorts of pests will come here, right? And that for me is, I don't want her to do it because I'm asking her to do it. I'm asking her to do it because she doesn't want that to happen to her room. And that is what she will carry, because they will go to uni and all that when you're not there. When you can't tell them you must clean, what is the reasoning that's going to make them do what they must do? So it's not an easy thing, but...
So we just want to identify the fact that parenting starts even before you have a child. So we've also seen that alcohol, actually there's an alcohol syndrome that can affect. Using drugs as well when you're pregnant, because once you're pregnant, it's not just you anymore. Now there's somebody else that you have to be selfless and be selfish as well, so that you can protect this living thing in you by all costs. If you're alcoholic, you have to stop drinking. If you use drugs, you have to stop. Even having sex with different people, it's wrong, because what are you instilling in that child? Because if you're having sex with people, that affects the child. So there's so many things, even overworking yourself to a breaking point as well. Even just that somebody will think, I'm pregnant, I'm not sick, let me work, and you work to a breaking point. You're pregnant. So you have to look after yourself. And with what you're saying as well, if anything goes wrong, you have to go back to the source. And the source is, when I was pregnant, or before I got pregnant, what was the motive of me getting pregnant? And then when I was pregnant, how did I behave for all these 9 months? So that's the source. You have to go back rather than just dealing with the leaves and leaving the roots. Because by you looking at the roots and dealing with the roots, then you know that, you know what, now I'm done.
Exactly.
So parenting is, and we always say that there's no manual for this, there's no book for this, you know, there's no constitution, there's nothing about parenting. But I always say that if you hear things, go to seminars, because that really helped me when I had my children. And having children in this country as a single parent, the children are young, there's no support system. I'm away from my country, just me by myself and I. But what I did is attended a lot of seminars. And I always say that if you hear people speaking about parenting, if you attend a lot of seminars, just go. If something is yours, use it. If you feel like, this is not mine, put it in the shelf, because probably one day you come and take it.
Exactly.
And if you just feel like, oh, this is total rubbish, this is not for me, put it in the bin. That's fine. But attend things, because you don't know. It's like letting your baby, when the first time your baby is sucking your breast, nobody knows. They say latch like this, the midwife will come, hold your breast like this, say no, do it like this. You can personally, I couldn't do it, so I had to stop my baby from 3 months. I was in so much pain. I couldn't learn. I didn't know how to latch that baby properly in my nipples, so I had to stop because I was in so much pain. Because nobody just has a baby and you know what to do.
No, you don't.
They still have to teach you things. They have to tell you. You have to learn. So that's one, that you have to learn how to breastfeed a baby. So there are things that, let's go, let's listen to all these seminars, listen to people talking about parenting. Take what you can, and it will help you a lot. So the other thing I wanted to say is, somebody say being absent is more expensive than being present.
Whoa, that is so powerful. That is so powerful, so powerful.
Absent is more expensive than being present.
Oh my goodness, you know, that I've never thought of it like that, but it is so powerful. Because it's being present. There's a concept we call attachment. And attachment is the relationship you develop with your kid when they are little, which then influences their confidence, their self-esteem, how they behave, who they become, even into their adult. In fact, attachment theory is so big that these days anyone that's working with children it's become like a mandatory thing, because we understand if you don't have that attachment, which obviously if you're absent, you don't get to develop the relationship. Yeah, you don't get to develop the relationship, and therefore your child is in this jungle alone, is in this, they don't know where they're coming or going. They don't, because what attachment does is, your child, you're their first something that they know. Point of contact. Yeah, you're their first safety blanket, right? And then from that safety blanket, then they can look around and start exploring the world. And then sometimes they go away from you, and then they explore the world, and then they can come back to you.
They know there's a safe place for me. I always go back.
Exactly.
And I'll be accepted.
You are the anchor.
Yeah.
You are the anchor. Remember, these kids are not strong mentally. They're not even strong physically yet. So there's a lot of threat all over the place. So can you imagine? It's like an egg left in the world alone. Oh, it's gonna be eaten by snakes. It's gonna be pecked by birds. It's gonna be stepped or thrown by kids and all that. Yeah, but if you nurture it, from that egg can come maybe even another new life, right? So that being absent is truly more expensive than being present. And sometimes people think, do you know it is possible for you to be present but also absent?
Exactly.
You can be present in body,
but absent
in mind. You can be absent like you're
detached.
You're detached. You don't affirm your kids, and And I think all of us have been I know I have been guilty of it sometimes. Like, I'm there,
But you're not really there.
but I'm not there because I'm doing something else. Maybe I'm watching something, daughter wants something, but I'm not available.
You're
right?
not attending to her.
I'm not attending to her, or I'm not listening, or I'm not really hearing her. She's not in my presence. She's not feeling valued.
Yeah.
She's not feeling. I know sometimes we say, oh, we don't want our kids to feel like the world revolves around them. Actually, we want them to learn the world revolves around them. But also the world revolves around mom, and the world revolves around you, the other person. So all of us are important, yeah? So never tell your kid, oh, the world doesn't revolve around you, or you're not important. Yeah, those are not words to use with kids.
We'll come back to that.
Yeah.
To the words thing. But now, this is the absence one and the present one. I just want to talk about it again. There's somebody will say, okay, so how do you balance? Because again, you have to work.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And somebody will say, yeah, but is it be content with what you have and stay home? How do I now balance work and staying home looking after children? So we have where there's only one parent, and we also have where there's both parents, because those are real scenarios that happens in the world. So how would you advise? We start with the single parent. How would they balance work, present, and absence?
I think it's quite easy, because it also depends on the commitment. Remember, I said you can be present and actually absent, right? So you're thinking, what is my value when I'm there, right? What is my value when I'm there? Am I fully present? Because here is what happens to kids. Remember, I said our children are not our children. They're children of life. They have their own path. But they need this anchor, knowing that, oh, if I want something, or if I want, if I want to hear something, if I want encouragement, or if I want to ask something, or if I want to goof around, I know my mom is there, right? And in fact, children are the craziest of things, because they're like cats, right? They'll come to you when they need you, and then they'll abandon you when they don't need you. They do that, yeah? But our job is to be, if and when they need us, we are there, right? So you talk about if you're working, make it very clear to the kids that I value you so much, but at this time, I have to take you to nursery, or I have to take you to a childminder, or I have to take you to a friend, because I need to go and work so that I can afford this, and this. And you can start telling them that when they are little. I used to have this conversation with my daughter when she was 2 years old. I don't know whether she understood, but the most important thing is that you're communicating with them. You're telling them, this is the reason for which I'm leaving you. And I'm leaving you in safe hands, right? So they're always feeling, okay, it's not that, why am I being left? Am I not, because children make their own little stories.
Yes, in their head.
Yeah, I'm not important, that's why I'm being left. Yeah, and it happens a lot.
Mom doesn't care, my parents don't care about me.
Exactly. And then, by the way, they tell us that.
Yeah.
And you're like, actually, the only difference is your parent did not communicate. I'm also working, I'm going to work, but I left and I said to my daughter, this is where I'm going, this is what's happening. Keep them in the loop. Keep them in the loop. That's what children need. They don't need to be on your back all the time.
24/7.
They don't need that.
Yeah.
In fact, it's not healthy, because they need to be able to relate with other people. Yeah. But it's important that we communicate with them what's happening. I'm going to work. I'm doing this. That's why I'm leaving you here. I'm going running, or whatever you're doing. That's why I'm leaving you. Even, for example, if they are 4 or 5 and you can leave them for 15 minutes, tell them, I'm going to the shop and I will be back. I think having
Communication.
Yeah, communication is very
They say
important.
the communication is important through couples,
It's-
but the children as well are part of your couple. So communication is key.
Exactly. And you asked about working. We also must not forget that we also have to have a life apart from our children, because these children are growing, and you don't want to not know who you are when they are gone.
Yes.
You need to be able to be carving, because you're walking your path as well. So don't abandon your path for the sake of the kids. You walk your path alongside them. It may be now that you have them, it's a bit slower because you have to incorporate them. You have to maybe pick them up from school. You can't work full time, or maybe you have to drop. A lot of things might have to drop to a different level, but you cannot abandon yourself and say, "Oh, I'm doing this for the children."
Yes.
That is a mistake I think a lot of parents make.
Yes.
And then what happens later is, "Oh, I did all that for you, and now you're going."
You start resenting
Yeah, you
them.
start resenting them.
That, after everything I gave up, they did not ask you to give up.
Gosh, thank goodness you've said it, because when we make sacrifices, we should not expect anything in return. Of course, we hope our children will notice and say, "Oh, my mom made this, so I can buy my mom a coffee, or I can buy my mom whatever, I can buy all that." But we should not give our children with expectations.
Yes.
We shouldn't, because as sacrificial beings, we're supposed to actually serve them. They are our customers.
And
right?
actually, that's your responsibility.
Exactly.
It's not a job. I always say it's not a job, because a job you can get fed up and
Exactly.
leave it. But responsibility is responsibility.
Responsibility.
It's there.
That is your responsibility. In fact, in countries like this, you can be done for not looking after your children, or they can even be taken away.
But even in everywhere. Because
Everywhere.
even in Kenya, I remember the woman who, she went to work, and I felt like that was a harsh punishment for the woman, because she went to work and she left her son behind with somebody, and they took the son, that boy, I don't know if you saw that news, it was so painful. It was around December. They took out his eyes, and the mom was at work, and the mom was arrested because they're like, "You left your little child in the house with who?" So even in Kenya, even in Africa, it's happening. So you can't just abandon your children. But here comes, especially as our community, we want to build an empire at whose expense? So we're never there. You're working in the morning, you're working at night, you're forever working, your children don't see you, because you're thinking, "I want to build an empire," but at whose expense?
We can't do that. Let invest more. Yes, it's important to invest in our dreams, but also let's invest in our kids. It's important, because those are that's the next generation, and relationships with our kids is so important. I think it surpasses any amount of 6 figures or 7 figures that I make, right?
It's priceless.
It's priceless.
Yes.
Yeah. For me, I mean, some of my stories are so personal. Sometimes I'm like, wow, I forego this because I value this even more. And I'm not saying I'm any better than any parent.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
But I think the reason for this forum, this communication, is anyone can start today. It doesn't matter what you have done or not done in the past.
Yes.
You can say, whoops, now that I know better, like Maya Angela says, when you know better, you do better.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we are not here for you to feel, "Oh, I have failed, that's the end of me." So you're kicking yourself for life, "I've failed." That's not what this is about.
In fact, it's okay to fail, because when you fail, you rise again.
Exactly.
And the only time now you stay down completely is when you're dead.
Exactly.
But provided you're still alive, we learn every day, we make mistakes every day, we fall every day. but arise.
Exactly.
Every time you fall, arise. Don't stay down.
Exactly.
So you might have made mistakes with your firstborn, secondborn, thirdborn, even all of them. But when your grandchildren come, you can make a difference. Or even if your children are now older, you can still pick it up from there.
Exactly.
And start again.
Exactly.
Apologize. Let them see that mom is really sorry or dad is really sorry. Stop making excuses that, but I did it because. Now that's the problem. Because if they don't feel that genuine apology, because everybody feels like they will see if you're genuine. And they will say, okay, mom was just a human being or dad, and they made mistakes, and now they've realized their mistake. It doesn't matter. They might be 25, 30, but the reason why these relationships are so hard to mend is because the other party is never apologetic. There's always because but.
When we justify or when we minimize their, oh, you mean you're still holding on to that, you know, we can't, that was their heart. And we need to be able to validate it and to accept. And that's why I keep saying to parents, including myself, how many times a day, even today, today I was someplace in Oxford, and then my daughter calls me and said, Mom, where is my belt? And I said, I don't know. Then she said, Mom, I've told you many times not to come to my room and collect clothes and put them in the basket. And I was like, it's true. I have been told many times not to go and collect. But sometimes they are there and we want to wash. And I go in and actually collect, which I know I shouldn't.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking, we're doing all these clothes now. Let's do them all together. But she has her own little plan. And she has told me many times. So, I just said, I'm sorry. And then you know what she said? But Mom, I've told you many times and you keep saying you're sorry. Do you know that silence that we had?
Yeah.
I didn't know what to say because it's true. She has told me many times, but I'm always thinking, oh, the washing machine can take some more clothes, and instead of running it, and so I literally stopped and I said, okay, Dee, I don't know what else to tell you, but I'm actually sorry. So she said, so where is my belt? I said, I don't know. She said, but you're the one that picked my clothes. You must know where you kept it. And I was stuck. I didn't know. So I just had to, of course I said, I'm sorry. I have to find a way of actually not going and taking. And if I'm doing it, say to her, if we're washing, I said to her, can you bring the clothes because we're about to wash? And you know, sometimes they're not always at home. So I can call her and say, I'm going to take these clothes and put them in the... So if there is anything that you don't want washed or taken, let me know. Yeah. But do you see how so many times we get it wrong
all the time. I get it wrong with my children all the time.
We get it wrong, but then it's how you deal with it. How you deal with it. Or had I said, oh, you know, you're always leaving your clothes. I could have said it because it's true. But how is that helping? We are on the phone.
Yes.
How is that helping her?
Yeah.
She's already irritated the fact that I've gone to her room and picked the clothes. Yeah. So if I start telling her it's her fault, how is that helpful? So sometimes you have to again, humility when it comes to leaders. Sometimes you have to say, I'm sorry, and I know it's true you have told me many times. So I need to find a way of doing it without us clashing. Without. And it takes a lot of humility because
first of all, you think you're just a child and then you're dirty. I need to wash these things. It's the same thing with me and my children. For me, my problem is always throwing food because once they leave, so like yesterday, my daughter calls me and says, Mom, did you throw that food? And there's no excuse. Straight away is, yes, I did. But why, Mom? We've told you so many times, stop throwing people's food. I said, because the last time, you left it there and it was molded. So I just thought probably forget. But why didn't you ask me? I said, sweetheart, I'm sorry. Okay. But you're always doing this. So it's the same thing. So I think we have to come to that point of, hey, sweetheart, this food is going to the bin. Are you still going to eat it or are you not?
What's the plan?
But the fact that still, even though saying that, you still need to apologize and acknowledge that what you did is wrong. And then even though they've told you so many times, but all the time, so many times, you still say sorry anyway. It's not like, oh, because you said sorry yesterday. Today I'm not saying sorry, but I said sorry yesterday. And I think some parents have so much pride, especially when it comes to some fathers as well. They'll never apologize. They always think a child is to be seen and not to be heard. How can you talk to me like that? How can you say that? But we also need to understand that these children are also humans.
Exactly.
They have feelings just like us. And the way you talk to them, they'll go and talk to somebody else out there. Because my big daughter, when she says something that is not right, and then she goes, yeah, I know, mom, I know. Straight away, because she'll just see me looking at her, she'll go, yeah, mom, I know. Because she knows that's not how she's supposed to talk to people. And it's because the way I talk to them in the house. So they'll carry it outside.
Exactly.
Because you're the adult.
Exactly.
So as much as you keep on saying, sorry, I'm sorry, like, oh, you're human. So you keep on apologizing.
And I like what you said about when you look at them and they actually have that reflection. This is not me. I'm not supposed to be, because you have told them again and again and again and again. And I'll say, for example, my guiding thing in our home, the guiding thing, the question we ask is, was that kind? Was that loving? Whatever you did. And even today, she said to me, Mom, that's not being kind. For you to do the same thing I'm asking you not to do. It's not, and it's true, it's not. And when I catch her doing something, or when she talks to me like trash sometimes, I look at her and I ask her, is that kind? And she's like, oh, I know, I'm sorry. Or I'll ask her, was that loving? I don't even tell her you've done something wrong, or I just ask those two things. Was
so
that
for her
kind?
to reflect herself.
Exactly, so that she's bringing herself, she's measuring herself against kindness. What I've done, is it kind? For example, if you ask, if they go out and you agree that you're coming back at 10, and then they're pushing it, maybe even not picking up the phone. When you get to speak to them, you ask them, was it kind of you to subject me to worrying about you? Of course, if you're not here at 10, I'm worried. Things happen out there, so I'm worried. When you're not picking up my phone, I'm worried.
And it's not you I don't trust. It's
Exactly.
the people out there that I don't trust.
Exactly. Anything can happen.
Anything can happen.
So I ask her, was that kind of you? Or was it loving to subject me to that kind of fear? And she'll be like, oh, actually, I should have told you like 15 minutes that, oh, we've decided to do this. And I said, yes, I don't mind you changing plans, but let me know. Inform me. And I'm not, it's not because I'm trolling you. I want you to be independent, but keep me informed so that I'm not sitting there thinking the worst, you know?
And then you're not picking up your phone.
Exactly.
That's even worse, because you don't know what's going on. And I know when it comes to things like affirmation, some parents feel like it's not important. My child knows I love them. And they just go, like me now, anytime I talk to my children, before we leave, is I love you, sweetheart. Every time I love you. Before I leave my house, I love you. When they're going to sleep, I love you, girls. So it's always, give them that affirmation, because if you don't, especially if they're girls, a man out there will tell them I love you, but because they've never had that, they'll be like,
it's true. And
that's where that man can do anything to them, because they'll feel like, well, this person loves me. I'm so special to this person. But you have to affirm them every day, and they have to feel like they are special. So if somebody else comes and tells them, they're like, I know that bit. I know. Right?
So tell us more about this affirmation. How it works. This is affirmation are very scriptural and also a very scientific concept. It's so powerful that even for those of us that read the Bible, we know that the power of life and death is in your tongue. And I know what you're saying. Some people think, oh, if I affirm them all the time, they'll be so full of themselves, and all that.
And if they're boys, they'll be weak.
Yeah, they'll be weak, But I always say, you guys who are listening, especially you guys who read the Bible, Remember when Jesus was being baptized by John the Baptist? What happened? What happened at around that time? Yeah,
The dove came.
the dove came,
Yeah.
and then what did we hear? The
And
Bible
this is my
says,
son.
Mhm.
This is my son that I truly love.
and who I am,
I am
so proud of. Now, if God, the maker of the universe, knows the power there is in to say, this is my son.
Because
of whom I'm
Jesus
proud of."
knew, though.
Of
He
course,
knew.
he
But
knew.
God still had to say it.
And sound it, and like feel that with him. And remember, at that point, Jesus had not performed the miracles, so you wouldn't say, "Oh, I'm praising you because you've done this." It was not conditional. It was, "This is my son of whom I am proud of." And that's why I love it when you say, you tell your girls they are beautiful. You tell, I mean, my daughter, I call her gorgeous, right? And from ever, in the morning when she's waking up and she's even looking like she's angry or whatever, however they look, I call her gorgeous at that point. Meaning, you don't have to earn it. You don't have to do anything for you to be gorgeous. And I think affirmations are so self-esteem building. That is how children know, I am valued. I am okay. I belong, right? I belong. Like when they step into rooms, they're like, I'm here because I belong. I am here. And it's not a prideful or haughty thing. I've got something to bring. I may not know what it is yet.
But I have something to bring.
But I have something to bring. Why? Because I'm breathing.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
And it's so important for us to be careful about the things we say. Call your children great. Call your children amazing. Remind them of who they are. Like the other day, my daughter said to me that, "Oh, Mom, I'm sleeping so much, I think I'm depressed." And I said to her, you are sleeping so much because you're tired. Yeah? Did you hear that word? I am depressed. I am. That word, I am, you're embodying it, embracing that. Yeah. Is what you are. That is what you are. And our job as parents is to reframe that language.
Yes, mindset,
so that when they speak, they're thinking, "Oh,
positive.
I am a child of the universe.
Positive.
Yeah, I am valued. I am worthy." Right? And it's those things that don't curse your children, because this tongue is powerful. And like you said in the beginning, Lydia, our children look at us, it's like we are their anchor. We are the source of...
The mini God.
Exactly.
That's the word my daughter used, mini God.
Yes, it's true. We are like their mini God. So if their mini God is saying, you're rubbish, or even... It doesn't matter how angry you feel. Sometimes I have to give myself time out. My own self. I'm like, if I say something, let me go. Because the only thing that will come out of me is poison.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And because I don't want poison to come into you, let me go, sort myself out, and then I'll come and speak to you.
Yeah.
When I am whole
and
I have something to give. Yeah, so that's how affirmations, and it, unfortunately for most of us, Lydia, we were not praised when we were kids. We were always being told off, being beaten, being accused, being
beaten before you even commit a crime. Because I remember my mom would be like, "Come here, if I come back here, I need this house clean. Did you hear me?" They'll pinch your ears and you're like, I've not even done the crime yet. I haven't been beaten for a crime that I've not even committed. So they beat you before you've even committed that crime. They beat you because when they come back, they will need to find the house clean. They need to find if they wash. They need to find if cooked. But they're beating you for something you've not even done. So it was just abuse.
Exactly.
There was no affirmation that I love you and everything. And I know some people say that or that's why I'm who I am today. But we are broken.
Exactly.
There's a lot of things that are broken in us.
And then, unfortunately, remember when we talked about even getting children, we need to heal. We need to come to terms with. I personally had to come to terms with, and we're not telling anyone to go hating their mothers and fathers. That's not what we are here saying. We are saying is this journey of healing is a personal journey.
Yes.
We have to say, I'm the one that's suffering. I'm the one that suffered. They did that to me. They
Because
did that.
That's all
they knew.
As well,
Yeah,
yes.
That's all they knew.
Exactly.
And we are not saying it's nice.
Yes.
We are saying is that's all they knew.
Yes.
And that's why things like forgiveness comes in. And it comes with, I'm letting that go. I'm not saying it was right.
Yes.
But I know if I carry it in me, I'm ruining me.
Because forgiveness is for your own self.
Exactly. And I don't want to ruin me. And I think for me, some of these things came very vividly when I had my daughter. I became very conscious about what myself. I began to heal a lot of, like I was angry about things. And I thought, I can't bring up, it's like bringing someone into poo.
Yes.
They will become part of it and they'll start stinking as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So I had to clean myself and I had to cleanse myself. And some of things are so deep that actually there's a practice I took, like every night. I used to say, like, create in me a clean heart so that I could, like clean myself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that I didn't pass it on to my child.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think because parenting is this is a deep topic.
It is deep.
So I think, I don't know how you are next week, but I would like to continue with this because like I said, this is the center of life. If we get it wrong, we get the generation wrong.
Exactly.
So before we finish, the only thing that I want us to talk about, and then probably next time we'll come and talk about the rest because we still have a lot to talk about, is separating a child and the behavior. So I know sometimes people, you visit my house and I'll say something, they'll start laughing. And I was like, stop laughing, because I've never called my children stupid. I've never called them, sometimes yes, I'll be angry and I'll like, oh, that's so, and then I'll be like, I'll apologize immediately and I say, I'm so sorry that I called you stupid, because you're not. So we need to identify the behavior and the child. We need to separate these two.
Exactly.
The child can have a silly behavior, stupid behavior, whatever behavior, but as parents, we don't really know how to separate those two.
Exactly. And that's a big problem we see. And the problem is that children actually internalize that. Like when you call them, when you say that you're stupid, they begin to believe they're stupid. And then that is the persona they will, there's no point me trying, I'm stupid anyway. Yeah, even some of them will tell you that. And they're like, excuse me, no, you're not. You may have done something wrong. You may have even stolen. Right? I don't even like this thing, because I've worked with young people even in prison. I don't like this, and it's very hard for when I tell people this concept that yes, you have stolen. The action is you stole. I'm not saying you didn't steal.
Yeah.
The action is you have dealt drugs. We're not saying that is right. But for you to take the persona, the identity of the drug dealer, or especially as a child, or as a thief, or as this one, that is why people don't heal. Because if you separate that from you, it's like me taking you away and throwing you out, the whole of you away. That means there is no Lydia left. But if I say, no, Lydia, what you said was unacceptable. However, you are still acceptable.
Yes.
You are still acceptable.
And the Bible even says that.
Exactly.
God loves the sinner, but not the sin.
Do you know?
So God is not saying that you committed a sin, so he doesn't know. He doesn't like the sin.
Yes.
But you, as a sinner,
you are loved with an everlasting love. In fact, I know you are saying we need to end. If, especially us who are of faith, would parent the way God parents us, do you know it would be so freeing? Because think about God, like what you said.
Yeah.
I love you with an everlasting love. I don't like it when you abuse that other my child.
Yes.
I don't like it when you go and covet this person. I don't like it when you go and steal, yet you can come and ask me for these things that you're going to steal. But I love you. I love you with an everlasting love.
I love you as Lydia.
You are beautifully and wonderfully made. Yeah. You can go, let's say even like Rahab. You know Rahab in the Bible, right? She was a prostitute, right? But God used her to save people. Why? She had her purpose. Her purpose was never stolen just because she decided to go and prostitute herself. Neither was the woman in the well, right? Jesus did not say, oh, you're useless. He said, I have something. I have something that if you took, you would be filled for life. It's that being able to separate. If we can separate that, I think we would have the best relationship.
70% of our issues will be solved.
A lot of our issues would be solved. Absolutely.
So thank you so much for today. Probably we'll continue that topic again next week, because as we know, parenting is the core of our existence. So we really have to try and get that right. So thank you so much. Do you have any parting shot to give to our audience?
Right. I would say 2 things. Make sure you process your own trauma. Make sure that you introspection of self so that you don't pass it on to your kids. And then the other thing I'm going to say is, which was you so powerfully said, separate the kid from the behavior. When you do that, like you said, 80-90% of our problems would be solved, because it is easier to drop the habit, the bad habit, but you can't drop the kid. Otherwise, you'll never have a relationship with them. So that is what I would say. And you've just been brilliant.
Thank you so much, Angela, guys. And we're coming back next week again, because even Angela has a book that she wrote as well. Probably she'll bring it here next week. She's so passionate when it comes to parenting and children as well. And I just want to say thank you so much for watching Omega TV UK. And I say very soon you'll be following us on Sky 181. Very soon we're coming there. We're coming there. Keep on watching and do not touch that button. And I'll say thank you so much as well for watching me today. Stand Out, Speak Up. And I always want to say thank you to my producers. They make me look beautiful. They make me feel like a celebrity. They make me famous, actually.
Yay!
So I say thank you so much to all my producers, the guys behind the scene, the guys behind the camera. Thank you so much. And I also want to say thank you to Omega TV UK. So until then, my name is Lydia Tetolet. I'll sign out by saying it can only be God. Love you and see you next week.